From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting. Originating from the Kern County Administrative Center, located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue in Bakersfield, California. Grounded in ideas, energy, and innovation, Kern County's vision is to be a driving force for the world's fifth largest economy, and our mission is to exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. Today's Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Peters?
Here.
Supervisor Parlier?
Here.
Supervisor Flores? Here. Supervisor Couch?
Here.
Supervisor Perez?
Here.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 28th, 2026, 2 p.m. board meeting. We'll begin with a report on action taken in closed session.
Good afternoon. This morning, following the AM agenda, your board heard items 63 and 64 in closed session. There were no reportable actions taken.
Thank you. Okay, we'll next consider the consent agenda. All items listed with a CA or C above the item are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. The CA represents the consent agenda for the Board of Supervisors. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If members of the audience wish to comment or ask questions regarding an item or items on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. Members of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. The consent agenda includes items 3 through 5 on page 2, 6 through 9 on page 3. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over that. Supposed to skip over that. 10 through 15 on page 4. Item 16 has been withdrawn by staff. Items 17 and 18, as well as 21 through 24 on page 5. Items 25 through 32 on page 6. Items 33 through 40 on page 7, and items 41 through 43 on page 8. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak regarding the consent agenda? Okay, thank you. With that, I will bring it back to the board for motion.
Motion.
Second.
The motion is approved, all ayes.
Okay, our first item on the agenda will be public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask questions for clarification, make referral to staff for factual information, or request that staff report back to the board at a later meeting. The board may also take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Do we have any members of the public?
We have one remote speaker, Marissa Rangel.
Hello, I hope everybody can hear me. My name is Marissa Rangel. I am a current associate degree student, and I am attending a university for a social science bachelor's degree. With that being said, early this year, I did a research paper on community issues and community solutions, and the one that I picked was street vending. I did some research, and I was able to provide the county agencies with some reports on findings that I found. While I see that the county has taken great measurements for some of these compliances to be updated and current, I am curious to see what the county now will provide for the vendors, the pathway for the vendors. It's really confusing for street vendors to try to find where the permits are, county, city. Possibly maybe the county could offer a slight discount on the permits for a short period of time. I am super proud of my county that they have looked into this matter and addressed it. And I would just really hope that they go forward with a possible simpler solution for the street vendors to find what they need to be compliant.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Thank you. Supervisor Perez?
Thank you. Thank you so much to the caller. I would really ask you if you could please call my office and speak to Priscilla Sanchez, because she has been working out in the community to bring all the resources out to vendors to comprehend what's required, but also streamline the process. We have had, really big success in communicating with the public how to get into compliance, stay in compliance, and we have all kinds of, ways to help out. So I really appreciate your call. You're absolutely right on what's the solution after we deal with the problem. And I would please invite you to call my office, 868-3690. Speak to Priscilla Sanchez, and she can bring you up to speed entirely on this issue. Thank you for your interest and your call.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor, is that the end of our callers? Okay, thank you. That takes us to item number 2, which is board member announcements and reports.
I got a quick one.
Supervisor Parlier?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to highlight an urgent issue affecting sheep and goat grazing operations here in Kern County, who provide essential wildfire prevention services, not only within our county, but really throughout the state. A state law taking effect next month would increase required pay for sheep and goat herders to an unsustainable level, threatening to shut down these operations, eliminating a critical vegetation management tool. I also want to say Kern County is #1 in shepherding, goat herding, #1 in the county, and also #1 for meat producing for sheep also. Given our wildfire risk, I am requesting staff return with recommendations on how our board can engage with legislators in support of a legislative fix that preserves these essential fire prevention resources.
Thank you, Supervisor Parlier.
If it requires a motion, I'd be happy to do so.
Wholeheartedly support you, Supervisor Parlier, and second your motion for referral.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, Supervisor Couch.
Thank you. This morning at our public comment session, there was a young man named Alejandro. If you recall, he spoke about nonprofits in LA that were busing people up here, giving them bus tickets to bring them homeless people to Bakersfield. And I asked about the names of those nonprofits. He gave me the names. He also gave me a little bit more information, which is some of these nonprofits require proof of a family member who they will reunite with. If that's actually happening, we do the exact same thing, as I understand it. We will send people all over the country if we know they're going to a family member that has agreed to take them in. However, the next sentence says, others do not require a relative to be given a ticket. So I just want to give this list to the clerk and see if we can't research that a little bit. And I want to thank Alejandra for giving us the names. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Couch. Any other additional announcements or reports from the board? Okay, seeing none. That'll take us to Public Works Department. We'll be combining agenda items 6 through 9 since they're functionally equivalent for process, so they will be heard concurrently as one hearing, but still treated separately for voting purposes. Do you want to introduce these items before we start the public hearing, or do we just start the public hearing now?
Chairman Peters, I would like to present, and then we can open the public hearing after.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll turn it over to you, Director Champlin.
Chairman, members of the board, before you today, we are conducting 4 separate public hearings to determine possible rate increases for 4 distinctly geographically separate CSAs. That would consist of CSA 71, 71.1, 71.2, and 71.3. Property owners received a mailed notice at least 45 days before this public hearing. This process requires submission of written protests in accordance with the California Constitution. Public Works mailed a notice to each property owner. Each mailed notice included instructions to where a protest letter would need to be submitted, the deadline needed for submission, identification of the property within the protest letter, and a name and signature of the owner needed to indicate the property's protest of the proposed rate increase.
Director Chamberlain, can I interrupt you for just 1 second? So on my screen, I've got one showing item 6 and one showing the board information. I just want to make sure that the information that we're seeing is also being seen on the live stream by folks.
If I may, Supervisor Peters, this is just a lead-in, and then this is kind of, I'm sorry, this isn't on the slides, but this is
okay.
kind of a lead-up of the legals.
Gotcha.
And then
Understood.
the presentation will follow.
Okay, thank you.
Staff verified each protest letter submission. The proposed increase fails if a majority, 50% plus one of the property owners submit protests. So a little background on CSA 71. CSA 71 was formed to provide sewer planning and sewer disposal to unincorporated Northwest region of metropolitan Bakersfield for over 600 residential properties and 55 non-residential properties. Within CSA 71, the county portion, we maintain over 13 miles of active sewer mains. CSA 71 provides sewage to 4 separate zones of benefit that I previously listed. City of Bakersfield provides sewer treatment for CSA 71 under an agreement that has been in effect since the 1980s. Per the current agreement with the city charges CSA 71 for the number of connected users based on the city's sewer rate. CSA 71 pays these fees on behalf of CSA 71 customers as pass-through costs. On May 27th of this year, the city approved a new 5-year Prop 218 sewer rate increase. CSA 71 has administration, engineering, and operational costs due to maintaining CSA 71 within the county jurisdiction. This is a summary of what the city approved prior at the 5/27/26 meeting. The current rate, as of last fiscal year, residents in the city were paying $247.13 per year. City Council recently approved a 5-year plan. Year 1 would increase that fee to $475, and then $100 a year for the next 4 years, totaling $875 in 5 years. This is just a map of CSA 71. As you'll notice, everything in the red boundary is CSA 71, but for the sake of this conversation, only properties south of that dashed blue line, which are in the city portion, are considered today. Everything north of that is in NORSD's jurisdiction. It's important to note on that slide too, it says we have 630 total properties, 575 residential, 55 commercial, and we maintain, county portion is 13.8 miles of sewer main as well as 1 lift station. The proposed ordinances for these 4 CSAs intend to provide a sewer rate that will pay the city of Bakersfield pass-through costs and CSA 71 cost of service for each specific CSA to avoid support by the county general fund. City sewer fees that are the pass-through costs will be the wholesale cost of sewer from the city, which is based on the recently approved City of Bakersfield sewer rate increase, and the charge to the CSA residents, which may or may not include a discount. If inflation costs exceed the estimated 3% annual CPI, then the CSA will pass through those costs not to exceed 5% based on the cost of service. I'm going to run through quickly each CSA, where we are today if we do nothing, and what the staff recommendation is. So let's start with CSA 71. If we did nothing today, fiscal year 26-27, the revenue would be $28,305. However, the expenses would exceed $41,600, $35,000 of that going directly to the city of Bakersfield, for a net loss of $13,296. And this would be at the current rate of $295 per year. Our proposal for CSA 71 is shown in the first column, fiscal year 26-27. The total cost of service would be $549 per parcel, per single-family parcel, 475 of which would go directly pass through to the city of Bakersfield, and the cost for the county to maintain services in the unincorporated areas stands at $74 per year. This would run through a 5-year cycle, at the end of which the total would be $957, $875 of which goes directly to the city as a pass-through, and the county cost would increase $2 per year to $82 in year 5. Please note that the net impact on the general fund for all of these situations that we're proposing is $0. CSA 71.1. The revenue generated at the current status is $37,465, with expenses exceeding $74,000. $60,325 would be directly passed through to the city of Bakersfield, for a net loss of this CSA of $36,671 annually for the first year, the current rate of $295. The proposal for CSA 71.1 is the first year would be, the total would be $585, $475 of which would go directly to the city of Bakersfield as a pass-through. The county-only cost would be $110 per equivalent single-family dwelling. This one is notably higher than some of the others because this one does maintain a sewer lift station that benefits the property owners in this area. And you notice that in the 5th year, we would be exceeding $1,000 total, $875 of which goes directly to the city based on the recently approved rates, and $130 at a $5 per year increase for 5 years. Next is CSA 71.2. The revenue with the current rate is projected to be $70,210, but the expenses exceed $126,000, with $113,000 passing through to the city of Bakersfield, for a net loss over $56,000 for the first year. Our proposal for 71.2, first year, the total would be $535 per single family, $475 going directly passed through to the city, $60 for county staff to maintain the portion of sewer lines within the unincorporated areas, increasing to $955 total in year 5, $875 going to the city, $80 for county maintenance. And finally, CSA 71.3, revenues at the current rate would be just shy of $95,000 annually for the first year. Expenses, $174,695, with $130,000 directly passed through to the city of Bakersfield, for a net loss of $79,710 at the current rate. Our proposal for 71.3 is 26-27 fiscal year of $575, $475 of which goes directly to the city, $100 per year for the county maintained services, and escalating to a 5th year of over $1,000 a year, with $875 going to the city and $140 for county maintenance. Now, in doing this, these numbers are very high, and I think we've seen that throughout this entire process, but I think it's important to show what we're passing through to the city versus what the county charges to maintain what we have in the county. So in doing so, I've seen that this is a very large amount of money, and we have given you this option, this staff's recommendation, because this is the only option that I'll present today where the county general fund is not asked to contribute. This next slide is, this is an alternate that I've come up with. This is not staff recommendation today, but I wanted to give you some options. And this first option is solely to increase the county's portion to maintain the services that we provide within the county. This doesn't account for any increased pass-through costs to the city of Bakersfield. And so if you look in the column that says first year change, those would be the changes in year 1 to each CSA. So CSA 71 would increase by $26.13, 71.1, $62.13, 71.2, $12.13, and 71.3, $52.13. At the bottom, it's a good explanation. The current last fiscal year's pass-through cost was $247.13. That's what city customers pay for their service last year. So that's where the 13 cents at the end of every charge comes from. And last year, all of our CSAs charged $47.87 more than the city rate, and that was attempting to cover our county liabilities and costs. Those had been held constant for some years, and so The numbers that you see there are what we need to cover the basic cost to maintain the county infrastructure. So this is just an alternative to that very large increase that you saw in those previous slides. And then finally, I call this the do-nothing alternative. Back on June 9th of this year, your board approved countywide ordinance for all CSAs. These 4 CSAs were in that list, and they were in that list at the fiscal year 25-26 price. So if this board, if there's no action taken today, then we will continue to bill existing customers at last year's rate with no change. This concludes my presentation, and we're here to answer any questions or address any concerns that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Flores?
Thank you, Chairman. Just quick calculation, it's not exact, but it's an estimate. So the first year, the 4 CSAs, we're looking at an increase of 185,000. But I noticed in your earlier presentation that there were future increases in the city over time. So do you have an estimate of what these are going to be like in a 5-year and a 10-year projection?
Thank you, Supervisor Flores, through the chair. I did have it on this slide. It's the final row on there. So that would be general fund obligation if you do nothing.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is if you were to just cover county costs. If you were to not cover county costs, it would be slightly higher. But if you were to vote for the alternative, we would be year one, $146,300 general fund obligation, and that would escalate to approximately $465,000 a year in year 5.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, excuse me, thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
So I don't understand why this is being considered again, and maybe we need some more clarification on that, but in March of this year, we had a proposed resolution to set public hearing on a proposed increase in ordinance within CSA 71, all these same CSAs that we're considering, and it was voted down by this board. And then it was brought back for us to consider again. And we, as a county, have filed a lawsuit against the city of Bakersfield over the inappropriateness of their fees. And all of us, I don't see the justification for bringing this back to the board for us to just have another bite at the apple. And I need to understand a justification for why we would now reverse course and approve these.
Chairman Peters, my understanding, we brought this back because the city, subsequent to the last time when, well, let me back up. When we first brought it, you did not approve a 218, so we never got to a hearing phase. Subsequent to that, the city of Bakersfield imposed their fees, which were lower than they anticipated. So the decision was made to bring it back to your board to see, now that the city had imposed those fees and it's at a lower amount than we had anticipated, did we want to reconsider that item? And at that point, your board did vote, I believe it was a 3-2 vote, to go ahead and send out the 218 and try to recoup some of that money. That's the best explanation I can give to you on that at this time. And I'm happy to answer more questions, or I can also refer to Claire Collins, who's here with me, or the department. However, I did also want to point out that we do need, this item is on the agenda. Your board can certainly make a motion to not hear this item, and if that passes, then we can not hear the item. But if we're going to go forward with the item, we do need to open the public hearing, receive public comment, and count the protests.
Understood. Okay. I just wanted to get some more clarification
Understood.
first. So,
happy to answer more questions.
So it's to set the public hearing and all that for a rate increase, that's a simple majority vote, 3-2?
Correct.
Okay, understood.
Yes.
So it was brought back And then 3-2, it was set for public hearing, understood. And then the numbers that we saw, these are for the next, or I guess the impact that we were seeing to the general fund would be over a 3, 4, 5 year period, these big numbers, but that's assuming that nothing changes, but we're in the middle of litigation with the city of Bakersfield that may impact what these rates ultimately are. And I think that was the point that the board made the first time around, is that we can hold off on this for a year and not pass along something that's patently unfair and unjustifiable, frankly, to the city of Bakersfield, and reconsider this in a year. And I don't think that my position has changed on that any. So I would make a motion that we not hear these items.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If that motion passes, does that mean we don't even want to consider the alternative that Mr. Champlin described? Or would we get a chance to consider that? We're not here, if the motion passes, we're not hearing this at all.
Correct.
And we're done, correct?
Correct.
So I think the public deserves a little bit of an explanation for this. And I'm going to do my best to try to describe it as I understand it, but you over here and you over here, correct me where I go wrong. In order to implement, we've sent out the 218 notices. We didn't get adequate protests. In fact, we got very few, which is kind of surprising. The board could go ahead and implement a maximum of what was on the notice. So far, so good? Or anything lower than that?
Supervisor Couch, through the chair, we've not yet gotten to the point where we counted the protests, so we'd need to do that before we make that
We also
statement.
haven't asked anybody to speak. I get that.
Right,
but
right.
I only heard in passing that we got a few protests. So I know you haven't counted them and all that, but I'm assuming that the number is relatively low. This is all theoretical at this point. It takes 4 votes to implement whatever fee we choose to, if we choose to adopt one. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so you had 2 members before that were not in favor of doing it at all. So the question in my mind is, if there's not 4 votes to implement the much higher fee, is there 4 votes to implement anything lower than that? The motion doesn't provide us an opportunity to do that and even consider that. So I would like to vote no on that motion, but I would like to hear others or how they feel about that. Thanks.
Since I made the motion, I'll say that we haven't heard anything up to this point about an increase to cover some different range than what we've been presented already up to this point. I haven't had a chance to sit down and look and understand the justification for this new rate increase. I haven't had a chance to get educated on it, and so I would have a hard time voting for something, a fee that I haven't had that information on yet.
Maybe I don't understand it either then, because I want to make sure, can I ask a question about that? Chairman?
Sure, oh, sure, I'm sorry.
I thought the middle ground, I'll call it, or the option that provides for your department to recover your costs, which is much, much lower than what the city of Bakersfield's pass-through would be, we had discussed in the past. Am I incorrect about that, or is this an entirely new subject that you're interjecting today?
Supervisor Couch, through the chair. It's in our engineer study as part of the packet that we submitted for the entire packet, so each item has a
Even back
spreadsheet,
in
but-
March, I thought you had these figures available.
Yes, it's always been my understanding that my department needed a modest increase in order to cover costs moving forward for just our department's functionality.
And is this for the public's benefit as well? We had 2, maybe 3 causes of action in the lawsuit. One of them was that the county is paying for maintenance in CSA 71 of these lines, but we don't receive any credit for it from the city of Bakersfield. And that's what this money is, right? Or am I wrong about that?
You are correct. We have anything outside of the city of Bakersfield limits, that's a responsibility of Public Works and the county staff to maintain those lines and those facilities. The city doesn't reimburse us for any of that. Their fee is solely for facilities within the incorporated portion of the city of Bakersfield.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Engineer. So I think Supervisor Couch, if I heard your question correctly, is the motion before us, does that exclude us from entertaining future motions to support, at least at a minimum, his admin costs? So I don't think that the motion before us would exclude us from pursuing a secondary motion for that purpose. Back to the primary motion, I will not support the motion to discontinue the hearing based on my philosophical grounds. And I know that the first vote that we took, that we did not approve the pass-through, and I think that's going to be the case here, reading the tea leaves. But just for the record, my position is if there's a increased cost for the end user, it should be borne by that user for the fees for service. So if I live in a CSA for utilities or roads or lighting or waste management, any increase that I get or that district gets is borne by the citizens of that service. We don't saddle a general fund and make the taxpayers pay for that. So here we have a situation where those that should be paying are not paying, and those that shouldn't be paying are paying. But that's the reality of where we're at, and I'm willing to accept that to move on. But that's just, I support, thank you for bringing this back. It's not easy. We're navigating, ultimately, the genesis for this is the city of Bakersfield with a huge increase in fees for all our metro residents, the people we serve, as well as the people in the CSAs specifically. And so that's what gets us into this point today. And so our board is unified on fighting those fees and capturing the costs. And I'm hopeful with my colleague here that we can recapture those at a future date and bring needed tax relief. So just thank you for doing the work. I know it's not easy, but at least you gave us options. And so maybe on the second motion, Dave, if you want to make something where we can try to at least capture the minimum cost of the admin fees, maybe we can do that after.
Well, as I understood the motion, it would not allow us to do that.
Well, actually, we could clarify. I think the motion was not to continue this pass-through element for the maximum fee cost capture. But I think that doesn't preclude us from a secondary motion to cover the minimum cost. But I want to, I'll leave that to the maker of the motion.
Okay, I appreciate that, Supervisor Flores. Thank you. Council had buzzed in if you want to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. It sounds to me like what we have on the table is a motion not to hear these items, to remove them. So in that case, it would be a done deal. However, I had requested to speak because I wanted to make sure, even before you vote on that, there could be public who wants to speak that you should hear before you take the vote. But yes, if you vote to remove these items, it's a done deal.
Okay.
And if it fails, then there could be a second motion after you open the public hearing, receive, and do all the things you do at a hearing.
So we could have a second motion for at least cops.
If the motion to remove these from the agenda fails, then we would move forward with the item and hold the public hearing.
Okay, but, so if his motion fails and we hold the hearing, do we have a chance at a secondary motion for the cost capture of the admin fees at a more basic level?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I would just say this is the second bite of the apple, third bite that we've had, and that doesn't happen a lot on items. And this is the first time that I would say this option has been brought to us. And as I understand, this is the last day that this can be implemented, is that correct?
August 10th is the last day it can be implemented, so this would be the last board date
Right.
to get that done, unless you had a special board meeting before the August 10th. So that is correct. And just for clarification, this is the first time a hearing's been held on this, but there was previously an item requesting to do a 218 hearing, and that failed.
Right.
Yeah.
Failed once, succeeded once,
What-
narrowly.
Correct.
Right. So third bite technically.
Okay.
So I don't think my position has changed. I think that this is something that it's 1 year theoretically until, this will come back, we'll consider it again. We're in the middle of litigation right now. We're gonna work through those issues. I stand by my amendment, but I would open it up to the public, for any comment before we take a vote or move forward.
We have no registered speakers.
Okay. Understood. So, that being said. No, I don't believe so.
That's last time.
That being said, I don't know if Supervisor Perez, after the further clarification, if you still are, if that's still a second for the motion, but my original motion stands.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So please cast your votes.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, just want clarification one last time. If this motion passes, we have no other, the hearings are over, we cannot make any more motions on this item, any of these items. Is that correct?
If this is a motion to remove these items from the calendar and not hear
So
them.
then we will no longer be able to talk about it.
It is a done deal, correct.
And to be clear, the rates that have already been approved, that were already in place last year, will already be on the tax rolls, and we will continue collecting those for another year. We just won't increase them this year.
That's correct.
So the opportunity to recoup the public works costs, we will not have that opportunity if the motion passes. We won't even have the opportunity to talk about it.
Not this year, unless you do a special
Gotcha.
meeting and have a fourth bite at the apple.
I guess would the maker of the motion be amenable to amending the motion to at least not doing the full increase, but capturing the low admin cost?
I'm going to be honest, I do appreciate where you're coming from, I understand it, but I don't think that this is the right way to go. I'm not at all in favor of it. So I want to stick by my motion, and then if this doesn't pass, then by all means, if the floor's open back up.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, that motion fails, so it returns to the board for additional conversation.
Chairman, I'll make a motion on the staff's alternative that would allow the fee, the rate to be increased to capture your public works costs, the maintenance costs. Is that adequate?
Yes.
So, may I interject? I'm sorry. I think it would be appropriate before we take a motion to open the hearing and go through the proper hearing motions before the
thought you
hearing
just-
process before we make a
I
motion.
thought we just did that.
Okay.
No, I don't think we've opened the hearing yet.
Okay, so this is the time and place for the public hearing to consider the proposed resolutions establishing service levels and boundaries and the proposed ordinances establishing the schedule of sewer service charges for fiscal year 2026, 2027, and providing for collection of the same on the tax roll. These items are for the following county service areas: CSA 71, CSA 71.1, West Bakersfield Lewis Ranch, CSA 71.2, West Bakersfield LaBorde Ranch, and CSA 71.3, City, West Bakersfield. So, I believe I turn it back over to Director Champlin, or do we just go to public hearing on this at this point?
You can go to public comment.
I think you go straight to public hearing, receive public comment, and then if there's no public comment, close the hearing and consider written protests.
Okay. Let's go to public comment now.
We have no registered speakers.
Okay, thank you. So I will return to Director Champlin.
It would be appropriate to count the votes at this time.
Total for these 4 CSAs, we've received a total of 3 total protests over these 630 areas. We received 2 protests for CSA 71.2 and 1 for CSA 71.3, which does not constitute a formal protest for any of these CSAs. Now it would be appropriate for the board to consider motions and move toward motions and voting on each of the 4 agenda items separately.
Okay, and just to clarify, I know I had a couple buzz-ins from county council and CAO position 2. Are there any comments before we go to those?
I do not have any further comments at this time. It would be appropriate to take board questions and motions at this point.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the time and place for the public hearing and to submit written protests considering an increase in the assessment for the various CSA 71 areas for fiscal year 2026-2027. Before I open the hearing for public comment, are there any comments or questions from the board? Okay, I will now open the public hearing for the CSA 71 areas affected by the City of Bakersfield sewer rate increases and ask if there are any public comments. And if, excuse me, and if anyone in the audience has written protests, now would be the time to deliver them to the clerk of the board. Again, the board will individually vote on the items at the conclusion of this comment period, but now is the time for public comment on all 4 items.
No public comment.
Okay. Seeing no public comment, we now close the public hearing and return to staff. Madam Clerk, have you received any written protests that need to be considered?
No.
Okay, Mr. Champlin, would you please summarize the written protest results for county service area number 71?
There were 0 protests for CSA 71.
Okay, now I will bring it back to the board for a motion on staff's recommendation for item 6 for county service area number 71. And there was a motion on the table, I believe.
I guess we need 4 separate motions. So for the first CSA, the motion is to increase the rate to the cost that would provide for the recovery of the Kern County Public Works cost of, I think it's $74 a unit.
Supervisor Couch through the chair, as the last slide, second to last slide, it would actually be an increase of $26.13
Okay.
for year 1, and then there's a 5-year schedule there with CPI added in.
Okay, so the motion is to increase the rate by $26.13 for CSA 71.
Second.
And again, just for clarification, we're already collecting rates at the same rate as last year regardless. They're already on the tax rolls. This is just for an increase to those rates, correct?
Correct. This is in addition to the $295 rate, and it puts it at $321.13.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is opposed. 3 yes, 2 no. Supervisor Peters, Supervisor Perez.
Okay, Mr. Champlin, would you please summarize the written protest results for county service area number 71.1?
We have received 0 protests for county service area 71.1.
Mr. Chairman, why don't you remake your first motion all over again, since that's, because we need 4 votes to increase these, correct? So 3 votes doesn't get it done. So it looks like we're going to have 3, it's going to be 3-2 all the way out. So reverting back to your initial motion would save us a little time.
You guys are sure, if you don't want to take the time.
Well,
I'd be
I thought we
happy
needed
to
to
make
give
the motion that,
we needed to give it a chance, and we did, and it failed.
Yeah, well, I'd be happy to make the motion that we deny the rest of these items.
So, second.
Thank you. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah.
The circuitous route.
Our next item is item number 19 under CAO's office, and that is a proposed salary for Chief Probation Officer Elaine Moore at Step 8, salary range 83.6, and biweekly auto allowance effective retroactive to July 25th, 2026.
Many of you are aware, the Kern County Superior Court judges selected Elaine Moore as a Chief Probation Officer for Kern County. And although the Superior Court is the appointing authority, your board has jurisdiction over her salary. Staff is recommending Step 8 of the salary range for the Chief Probation Officer, which is consistent with the step level that retiring Chief Probation Officer William Dickinson began at 3 years ago when he was appointed and who you honored this morning. Therefore, it is recommended that your board approve a salary of Step 8 at salary range 83.6 and the department head auto allowance for Elaine Moore, Chief Probation Officer, effective retroactive to July 25th, 2026. Also, Ms. Moore is present today, and with your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, she'd gladly like to introduce herself and say a few words.
That'd be great. We look forward to hearing from her.
Can I say?
Oh, I'm sorry, Supervisor Perez.
Thank you. Please come on forward, Director. I also just wanted to add that while the official selection occurs by the judges, that the Board of Supervisors has engaged in that process very extensively, usually D5 and D2. And so I want to say that Supervisor Parley and I did participate. We did listen to, which were an excellent panel of candidates. I was just floored. Really, I mean it. And obviously, you shine, and we were so thrilled to select you. But there was really an incredible group of people. I'm so pleased to see the quality of people interested in this, and within even your own department, that were just so knowledgeable. And but the Board of Supervisors did engage in that process, and we, this is a family operation. So we're just so pleased. Of course, congratulations again to you, Chief.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez, through the chair. I am Elaine Moore, your newly appointed Chief Probation Officer. I've worked for the department for 30 years. I started there when I was 18 years old as an extra help department aide, making $6.86 an hour. I've never had another job, and I am very committed to the department and to the county and to providing the exceptional level of service that I know you've become accustomed to under Chief Dickinson and Chief Miracle before him. I do realize I have some big shoes to fill, and I am accepting that challenge and looking forward to all of the great things that we're going to be able to do together. And I appreciate your support. I appreciate your participation in that, the interview process. I think that that's truly very important, since I do work for you, even though I am appointed by the Superior Court. So thank you so much for your participation in the process. And I look forward to continuing our relationship and the good things that probation can do for the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief, and congratulations. I know you do a great job.
Thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman?
Supervisor Couch.
Chief, I just want to say welcome and give you an opportunity to weigh in on the sewer rate issue if you'd like.
Run.
Well, I do live in the county, but not the west side. And so I think I'm going to step away from that. That'll be my first major decision, is to not.
You're batting 1,000 so far.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Do we have any members of the public that would like to comment on this issue?
We have no public speakers.
Okay, perfect. We'll bring it back to the board then for comment or motion.
I'll happily make that. I told Chief Moore last week at her swearing-in ceremony that everybody is singing her praises and everybody is so happy, which means you're just at the beginning. It just means it's a honeymoon. And I said, you asked for it, sister, so here we are. I think you have the goods. You can take it. Motion on staff's recommendation.
Second.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
All right. Thank you. That takes us to item number 20, and that's proposed amendments to Kern County Ordinance Code, adding section 2.24.010 to establish the Department of Elections and appointment of the Registrar of Voters, adding section 2.24.020 to describe the duties of the Department of Elections, and amending section 3.04.020, chapter 3.04, title 3, Human Resources, exempting the registrar of voters from the civil service system. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Jason Weeby.
Thank you, Chairman Peters. So it's been about 10 months since Governor Newsom signed Senate Bill 858, which allows Kern County to have a separately appointed registrar of voters. A few weeks after he signed that bill, staff provided your board and the public with an outline and timeline of steps that needed to occur, and I thought the introduction of this ordinance would be a good opportunity to update your board and the public on that progress. So for the first 6 months of 2026, your board approved a job description and salary range for a registrar of voters. It was filed and accepted by the Civil Service Commission. And the recruitment process for filling the registrar of voters position is well underway. For the final 6 months of this year, these 4 steps will complete the transition to a standalone Department of Elections. Adopt an ordinance establishing the Department of Elections and registrar of voters as a department head. Amend the Civil Service System Ordinance to exempt the registrar of voters position from the civil service system. Select and hire a registrar of voters to lead the Department of Elections, and then establish a budget and evaluate staffing levels and the needs to create and/or delete positions to effectively staff a Department of Elections. So implementation of these first 2 steps begins today with the introduction of the proposed ordinance. And initial interviews with registrar of voters is nearing and will occur by mid-August, with a final round of interviews occurring soon thereafter. So we're almost there. This is one more step with the introduction of this ordinance today. The recommended action is for your board to waive reading and introduce the proposed ordinance, adding section 2.24.010 to establish a Department of Elections, and the appointment of the registrar of voters, adding section 2.24.020 to describe the duties of the Department of Elections, and amending section 3.04.020, chapter 3.04, title 3, Human Resources, exempting the registrar of voters from the civil service system. Happy to answer any questions or provide clarification if you need it.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the board? Supervisor Perez?
Jason, thank you. You are exceptional, and you are consistently exceptional. You really, we're really lucky to have you. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other questions, comments, or a motion?
Motion on staff recommendation.
Also, don't do it, Jason. Run.
Well,
All right.
we'll wait and see who's selected before you say motion.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to the end of our afternoon agenda, so with a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, perfect. With that, any further objection, we're adjourned.